Big up, people. Hope you're well. Welcome back to the show. Me and Lee thought we would talk about a few things tonight because there's a lot happening. Last night's result, England's squad announcement, the Carabao Cup is still going on tonight. And of course, we've got weekend games to look towards. But we thought we'd bring a guest on. So we have brought Stephen on with us tonight. Stephen, how you doing, bro?
I'm not doing too bad. Yourselves?
We're all good, man. We're all good. Apart from the result last night, which we'll go into, I think we're pretty good. But as far as things are concerned elsewhere in the Arsenal world, I don't think we can be that disappointed. But that's just me, man. But yeah, all things Arsenal okay with you, though, mate?
Yeah, I mean, you can't really fault the manager, really. One defeat, one draw, 13 games played, and 11 wins and top of the table. If you told me we were, by this stage of the season, coming into one game before Christmas, that if you win that game, you'll be 2 points clear of Man City at Christmas Day, I would have probably asked him, what you've been smoking at the start of the season, and I want some. So, so I can't complain. I can't fault the manager really.
Fair play, man.
Probably the Man United game, I'll probably give him the fault, but then he's learnt from that as well. So
Yeah, mate, I agree with that. I do. And last night, perhaps some errors. Last night, not the best. But one team that did lose, as well as us, was, of course, Tottenham. And they are desperate for a trophy. So it's really quite funny. And we got a little bit of a clip to show you from Bet Victor. So take a look at this and we'll discuss it afterwards.
I thought Souness had it spot on Sky Sports last night.
What did
he said, look, everyone's going about the style of play. We want a better style of play. Well, Tottenham's adherence to a style of play has won them nothing. How's about playing some football that you're not very attracted to and maybe winning some silverware?
I'll take
Try
it.
that.
Absolutely take it.
They ain't winning nothing with this. That kind of suggests they'll win something, but they won't.
Well, Tottenham aren't one for winning trophies, that's for sure, Lee Judges. And the way they're playing at the moment hasn't been attractive. Now, let me say this to you, Judge, right? I've always said they're going to play this because it's Antonio Conte. I don't know why people are shocked by this style of football, right? And I know he's played better before, but this style of football is very similar to Jose Mourinho. I ain't going to come and start playing like Pep or Klopp. So why are Tottenham fans shocked? Why are football fans shocked? It might win them something. It might get them top four. Who knows yet? But it ain't a good start. They're out of another trophy that, let's be honest, they probably on paper had more chance of winning than the Champions League or the Premier League. So for me, they've got FA Cup or bust. And Conte's got to win them, saying, because that's what they're expecting, by the way. I'm talking to Tottenham fans that are saying, I want a trophy under this guy. This guy's a winner. So it ain't going too well for him at the moment, Judge, is it?
No, it ain't. I just want a couple of things, because I was a big Conte fan before he went to Spurs, you know, as you were, Dan. But I have to say this now. I don't remember him playing Chelsea being this boring and this really bad to watch, you know what I mean? So I have to say that. But the second thing is, I obviously went to the game yesterday, so I didn't know the team lineups and whatever. When I found out they was losing, I said, oh, as expected, because I thought, well, they've played a weakened team like us, and, you know, they're not really going for it and whatever. Like. And then when I got home and see the highlights, they are running out with all their internationals playing, like, you know. And you think, oh my God, they've gone and, you know what I mean, lost to, you know, obviously feeling that what they've actually sat down in their team meeting and said, look, Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool, all these big teams are not going to play their strongest team. So we'll play ours. We've got a chance of winning this trophy. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. They're out. They're out. And not only are they selling their soul for football reasons, they're just, I don't know, like so. And it's awful to watch. And I'll tell you what now, I obviously know a few Spurs fans that they are starting then to turn. They're starting to get the ump. And we know what it's like, you know what I mean? Like, there's nothing worse than not winning and not playing well as well. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, when we had it about a couple of seasons ago, when the football was bad and we weren't getting the results, you know, you can tolerate one or not or the other. But the one thing you can't tolerate is continue to keep losing. And listen, we lost at Man United this season. We've lost 3 times this season, but the game against Man United, you couldn't really have the ump. Disappointed. You didn't have the ump because of the style we lost. Disappointed. You know, the other 2 games, you know, you look at it and you think, oh, we played weakened teams or whatever. But, you know, they're getting restless, and the desperation to win a trophy is, where do they go if it all goes wrong with him? They've gone down with Mourinho.
Well, that's my question, really.
Yeah, you know, when you look at Mourinho, he's won a trophy wherever he's gone. I'll tell you what, I see something the other day. I've got to show you this. I've got to put this up because it's hilarious. It's hilarious. So hold on a minute. Bear with me.
While you're looking for
Yeah,
that,
go
just
on.
very quickly. Tottenham Hotspur have tried an attractive style, right? Harry Redknapp and Pochettino actually played a really nice football in parts. Modric and Bale and Van der Vaart and Eriksson under Harry Redknapp, and obviously Pochettino had some fantastic players in Dele Alli at the time, and Christian Eriksen, Harry Kane, Son. They've done that. It didn't win them nothing, right? They moaned about that. Oh, we want to win something. They didn't really want to get rid of Poch, but Levy said, no, we're going to go with this elite manager, Jose Mourinho. CV's there, clear for everyone to see, wins the trophy everywhere he goes, doesn't win anything at Tottenham, gets sacked. They go with Nuno because, let's be honest, there weren't any other better option in their eyes at that time. Didn't work with them. Conte comes in. If this don't work, they've tried attractive managers with experience in the Premier League in Harry Redknapp, an attractive style of play in Pochettino, a proven winner in Jose Mourinho, and an elite proven winner in Antonio Conte. If that gets them nothing, what might as well just give up. Like, you might as well just go back to getting, I don't know, a Rafa
Aldi
Benitez
Cups.
type or someone like that, because it ain't worked for them. So I understand where people are coming from when they say Tottenham is a rubbish style of football. They don't care. They don't care as it wins them something. They are so desperate to win a
Yeah.
Carabao Cup or a FA Cup that they will take the crap football for it. What a terrible fan base to sit there and go, oh, we're so desperate. Just play crap. Please win us something. That's how desperate it's got. It's embarrassing. They're supposed to be this big club, big six. They ain't in the big six, are they? Because they're in the rich six. They ain't won nothing. In my lifetime, I have never seen them win absolutely anything major honours-wise. They've won 2 Tin Pot Cups that we went out in last night that wasn't even on television, right? Doesn't affect the fact I wanted to win it, by the way, but that's how big and important these Carabao Cup games are. They don't even put them on TV. And they're trying to desperately win that. It's mad. It's absolutely mad.
But Dan, I've got it. Now get this around. I know there's a couple of Spurs fans in the chat, but you know, it's just fantastic. If this is not Spursy, then there's nothing Spursy in your life, right? Okay.
Oh God.
Gareth Bale, Wales international, captain of Wales. Yeah,
I know this one. This is good.
Gareth Bale. Since leaving Tottenham Hotspur for Real Madrid, Gareth Bale has only ever had one trophyless season since leaving Spurs. It was the season when he went back on loan to Tottenham Hotspur.
It is the best.
Get your head around that. It's absolutely lovely, isn't it? Like, it's lovely, like. And they want to say that they're bigger and better than us. You know what I mean? It's embarrassing, like. So enjoy that, Tottenham Hotspur. Gareth Bale has had one season where he's not won a trophy. He's actually gone to America and won a trophy like last week. You know what I mean? So yeah, you go.
It's mad. It is mad.
What an absolute blinding thing that is, like, you know what I mean? So
it's a great stat, man. It's a great stat.
They weren't appreciative of that.
I bet they weren't, man. I bet they weren't. But listen, we can't laugh too loudly, Stephen, of course, because we went out last night and it wasn't that great. I want to touch on that game now. I know it's hard to analyze in a way because we only really saw goals and highlights and bits and pieces because it wasn't on television, which I think is a joke, by the way. But of course, that's the way it is. This to me, Stephen, I didn't really learn anything from last night. It told me everything I already knew, that this squad is not strong enough and that when we make changes like we do, we can't beat Brighton's reserves because that's who they were, by the way. People say that was Brighton's first team. It weren't. They had 3 players out there. Welbeck, Caicedo and Dunk were the only 3 players that played at the weekend. 8 changes they made and we couldn't beat them. That says to me Brighton's B team is better than Arsenal's B team. So that's a worry. We need to make sure that we do something in January, in my opinion. Otherwise, this could be biting us in the backside, so to politely speak. What did you make of it, Stephen?
For me, obviously, after the first goal that we took the lead from, I pretty much switched off because I knew what was going to happen after that. But you're right. Our B team doesn't look as good as Brighton's, clearly. And if you're looking, for me at the moment where Arsenal are, if we want to challenge for the Premier League title, if we want to stay in this title race as everyone wants to put us in a minute. We gonna need further investment. If you look at Man City pound for pound, I know things aren't one on paper and pound for pound, but they are better on paper by a mile. But you can also say that about Chelsea, Man United squad, Tottenham squad could be better, but like we're just ones that have seemed to be consistent. So not everything's one on paper, but eventually you would expect Man City to just edge away, especially if you come back from the World Cup. Players could be tired. Some players could be down. But anything can happen during that month period of the World Cup. So January is going to be a very important month in terms of what Arsenal do. I've heard that they want to try and get some levels players, as they put it. But again, that could just be rumours that we've heard before. So, yeah, I remain optimistic. They want to invest to try and make sure they challenge City, because in the end, my main goal is to challenge for the league. I've always stated with the manager that my stance on the manager was always been that I wanted Wenger out, for example, because he wasn't challenging us titles anymore. And I mean, when I say challenging to literally like the last few games that we used to do with Man United. So if he can't, if I wouldn't back Wenger because of that, though he was making top four, why was I going to back a man that was not even made top four yet? So for me, if he keeps up the race, the title race, and we manage to keep most of our squad together, then I tell you what, then I'll put my hands up and said I got it wrong, right? Completely. But at the moment with the way things are, just as are with football and personal life, I'm just going to enjoy while Arsenal in the moment. In a sense, Arsenal winning games, Arsenal looking good, they're looking consistent, and though I still don't think we'll win the title, I still think we'll get. It would, if we don't finish in the top four spot, that would be a disaster. That would be an absolute disaster of the second half of the season.
Yeah,
It's
I think you're right. I think
because
you're right. And
it's like I said, if you told me we would be one game away from being top at Christmas, right, with Man City having Ireland just being signed, I would have asked, "What the hell are you smoking?" So yeah, what Arteta's managed to do so far this season has been incredible, especially with that squad.
The thing, Dan, with Arteta at this moment in time is that we've been fortunate with injuries. We haven't had that many key injuries. Like we've been fortunate. Like we've had a few. You know what I mean? Like Smith Rowe. We've also had Party out for a couple of weeks, but basically we've been really, really good on the injury front.
I would also say with Partey as well, is that we had an injury with Partey, and I think apart from the Man United game where it did affect us, in a sense, most of the other games around that, we managed that quite well with El Nini. And El Nini managed to step up and did a job. So it looked like we weren't suffering too much without him. So, and once he came back against Tottenham, though people were doubting whether he was match fit, he came in and that midfield, both of Xhaka and Partey, been standout players of the season so far, especially Xhaka. Like I
Yeah.
don't like the guy personally, right? But I don't mind who I like and who I don't like, as long as you perform well on the pitch. That's all that matters for me.
Yeah, that's a good point. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, like we've had those few injuries. Like, but I take the point there. Party and Xhaka are key in that. But ultimately, we haven't. But what I see yesterday, I did see I'm going to say it now, Dan, that they were the better side from start to finish. We had a couple of minutes where I felt that Nelson done really well. I've been impressed with Nelson since he's sort of come back into the sort of first team, if I'll be honest, Dan. I thought he was our best player again yesterday, like, you know. But ultimately, you look at that team, and it was a gentle reminder that we ain't strong enough. Now, I don't care what people say. Yes, when people turn around and we've got the headline at the moment. Did we take this seriously? A couple of things on that. When you have a look at the bench and what players are coming on the bench, or coming off the bench, yeah, we did. You know what I mean? Like we didn't want to lose this game, but what my problem was with it, and I've said this before. You don't really know about these young players, Dan. The Vieiras of this world, the Nelsons of this world, the Eddie. You're 2-1 down. What happens is they all come off and you try and get all the first team players back on to try and win you the game. See what they can do. See if they can get you through it, and if they don't, maybe they'll learn a little bit more from it. I just think it was a bad night at the office. I didn't think we deserved to win the game. I think you have a look at it, as you say, Brighton made loads of changes as well. They looked a lot better than us. I will say that the other thing with Brighton, which was brought up to me today, Dan, they made 8 changes for the first time. We've been doing it for 5-6 games before this in the Europa League, and still didn't get. I still haven't had a very, very good performance against any team really at this moment in time. What I will say is that with this League Cup at the moment, everybody is sort of resting players and not really going it. I see Liverpool struggle to get through Derby. I think went through on penalties, didn't they? Chelsea are out. We're out. Tottenham are out. Even Newcastle struggled a little bit yesterday.
I think Charlton are the only London club in there.
Say again?
I think Charlton are the only London club in the tournament.
Really?
I believe.
Yeah, like Crystal
As
Palace.
far as I heard.
Yeah, so it's I'm not saying that we should take it seriously and all that, but I think that when you play this game, Dan, you do two things. You either go for it or you don't. You either make loads of changes and stick with them, or you don't. I don't understand. Europa League's different because there's a big difference at the end of it, with Champions League. But ultimately, it's a very, very interesting point. I don't know how you feel about this because you're a little bit younger than me, you guys. Like I looked at the League Cup as growing up, it's a massive, massive trophy for us. You know what I mean? Some of the best moments of my Arsenal following Arsenal have happened in the League Cup. Talking to people like Cecil yesterday, turns around and says, the League Cup is to blood players. So the younger generation feel it's to blood players.
No.
It's not, you know what I mean?
I'm not that young. I'm not that young. And I think, you're right, because I spoke to someone today and they went, it is only the kids' trophy. And I went, well, this is the first trophy I remember Arsenal winning. Because I was in 93. That's the first time I saw us win we winning cups. And I think, against Sheffield Wednesday, that was for me, here we go, massive cups. We're winning.
It's where we won the FA Cup and the League Cup.
That's it. So for me, that's always been remembered as a trophy that we should go. And since then, we ain't taken it seriously, really, you could say. In the last 30 years since we've won it nearly, it's been. Arsene Wenger, unfortunately, there are a lot of people that say it's a kids' cup, and Arsene Wenger's to blame for that because it was the kids' cup to him. Yep. In 2007, we played the kids, and I thought we were going to win it because they looked fantastic. And at the time, we had kids like Fabregas, like Van Persie, Theo Walcott, some of the other players that didn't really make it at the time coming through. And I understood why he went with it there. But then after that, it was like, just play the kids and let's see them. And I've always thought it's a competition that because everyone plays the kids, you have a chance of winning. And that's why Man City win it every year or most years, because they've got the best squad. So they can go and rotate and just win it with their B team. And that's what I think will happen again, by the way, now. But Lee, I want to ask you, because I feel personally like this competition, okay, let me ask you this. Did he throw that away last night, Arteta, and think I'm not interested? And the reason I say that is two things. He played a goalkeeper in Cole Hine. The last time I saw that happen was when he played Runnison in the same competition that he just threw away against Man City and we lost 4-1. And somebody made a really good point today. January's not a nice month for us, mate. We've got Newcastle, we've got Man United, we've got right? North February. Does he want 2 extra games in January, or is he quite happy to be out of that so he can concentrate on the league? That's all I'm saying.
Listen, I agree. If that was the case, then don't bring on Jesus. Don't bring on Xhaka. Don't bring on,
Martinelli.
Martinelli. Just let the players try and see you out. And that's what the one thing that I was a little bit baffled by, really. let's have a look at Matt Turner. He's had a magnificent Arsenal career of all the 4 games. You know what I mean? Like at the end of it, and he like
Bizarre, wasn't it? Eh? Bizarre.
bizarre. Like you know what I mean? I suppose he's got 4 games under his belt. That's enough experience for him. Like I don't understand why he didn't play yesterday. You could say it's go along with the League Cup, right? Okay, if you're doing that, why just bring the goalkeeper in? Where's all the other young players? Where's the young kid that played at Brentford? Where's he? Why is
Do
he
you
not
know
on the
what?
bench?
Do you want to think the thing with the young kid from Brentford and anyone that says that was not a political stunt or like a stunt to break the record for the Premier League, then if that was the case, why haven't you played him in other games? If you showed he was
I
good
agree.
enough,
No,
if he
I
was
agree
good
with
enough
that.
to play and make come on for two touches in a Premier League game, then why isn't Patino was here, for example? Why wasn't he getting a shot? Why isn't
Different
he getting
last
more
season,
games?
Stephen, because there weren't no
It's,
European football. It was different. You know what I mean? Like this
But
season,
you
but
know
this
what?
is what
When
I'm saying.
Jason Cundy said it,
Why
I
would you
thought
give this
Jason
guy to
Cundy's
this
talking
guy and he
rubbish.
wouldn't do it?
You know what I mean? I thought Jason Cundy's talking rubbish here. He just don't like the fact that he's just having a dig at Arteta because Arsenal have won. Then what? 4 weeks, 5 weeks on, I'm like, actually, I think he was right now. I ain't
yeah,
seen this kid
I think
since.
he's right. I do think he's right because at the end of the day, why is he not on there? If you're blooding a
He was
20-year-old goalkeeper, right? When you've got a goalkeeper on the bench. There was also the central defender, but I can't think of his name. He played against Nuremberg in the beginning of the season. Young central defender played really
Raul
well.
Walters.
Walters, well done there. Well, where's he then? If you're doing
I
it
don't know.
to someone that
well. This
surely he
this
deserves a
this
chance. He was at Nuremberg playing in the pre-season. Hasn't had a look in since then,
well, Lee,
So
this guy from this guy from that we brought on against Brentford. Look him up on the website on the Arsenal.com. It's not there. It's not even in the academy. On the academy on Arsenal.com, he's not there. He's not there at all.
yeah, so
And yet he gets a start.
I don't
Yes, he gets a
understand it. I
start
don't
against
understand
all
it.
the players that are on the list.
Yeah, I don't understand. I just feel like from that
Doesn't make
point of view,
sense.
you've got to either go go down one route or the other. I'm not saying like you know what I mean, like
For
play. You know,
me,
someone's saying in the chat that he's
He's been
Walters
injured.
is
Yeah, I just
injured
see
or
that.
whatever. Like,
Yeah.
listen, I don't know, but there's more. There was more players that he could have like brought on and give it a chance.
Lee,
That's my thing on it.
do you know what things for me is? I feel for me when he was bringing on other sorts of big players as well. I think for me, he got stuck in 2 mindsets. I didn't know if part of him wanted to rest players because obviously the situation in the league where we are, right? Which I'm sure if we were in somewhere different, it wouldn't have been happening. He would have probably put on more strength inside, but so he wanted to try and make sure we didn't drop out of that. But then, if he's also sitting there thinking, "But I want to win a trophy. I want to win the League Cup." So, and that's why he was bringing on these big players. I think he's getting bought in 2 mindsets during that game, and unfortunately, it really caught us out big time. But I feel, yeah, that's a mistake on his part, and I mean, obviously, me being a younger generation, obviously, I'd only watched Wenger growing up, and obviously, because you only watch Wenger, the Wenger years, like the Carabao Cup was always considered not as worthy as the FA Cup. He valued the FA Cup a lot more highly than the League one. But then I have seen him also at times where we've got a Birmingham, like we lost to Birmingham City in the League Cup final. That over time he knew he had to start winning trophies and break that drought that he was having, and started playing more strong with strength sides. And in the end, a trophy is a trophy. It doesn't matter if it's the Carabao Cup, the FA Cup, Champions League, Europa League. Yes, they all have their like ceilings, but in the end, it's a trophy, right? And in the end, how good your season is, how many
Yeah,
trophies you won.
I agree with that. I do agree with what you're saying there to a certain degree, Steve. But I'm going to tell you this now: if Arsenal were to win the League Cup and didn't get into top four and didn't get
Oh, of
into the
course, for
Champions
us,
League,
it's not going to
there'd
help
be
us at
problems,
all.
and that's the problem that Mikel's got, and that's why I think when you look at it yesterday, Dan, and that no one really who's got the ump about yesterday, like losing. We haven't really. You know, we just said, all right, let's brush it aside because we have got, and I don't want to be disrespectful or anything because we didn't have this last. We went for this last season because we didn't have Europe, but ultimately that. Our two priorities this season: the Premier League and the Europa League. And if I think you're right, Dan, in January this probably could get in our way a little bit. Like I think one of the rounds, the next round is before the West Ham game. Was I think the 19th and 20th of December. I think 2 or 3 days after the World Cup, and then you've got like
That's
like I
mad,
just
isn't it,
say,
by
the
the
games.
way?
Mad.
How's that been a right? 3 days after World Cup, it's a bloody League Cup game. That is
Yeah,
mad.
so it just makes it feel like it's not really a priority for a lot of
I
teams.
think Arteta has showed it's not a priority by making 10 changes and putting a 20-year-old keeper in goal. That to me says he don't care. He's happy to go out of it, isn't he? So he's concentrating on the others. All I will be annoyed is, though, boys, is if he does the same thing in the FA Cup. I hate the fact he's disrespected that last 2 years. It's the only reason.
Yeah.
It's the only reason he's still in the job, by the way, and hasn't been sacked previously because he won that, and he's just brushed it aside against Southampton and Forest in the last 2 years.
Well, I think he
I don't
will
want him.
do the
I don't want
first
him to see
round,
it do
Dan.
it again. I don't want to see it again, Lee.
Yeah, I think that maybe
I
he will.
understand there's a title push and all that. This is a trophy, but this is unless you just see the FA Cup as a friendly. That's up to you lot. But I do not see that as a
I'm with
friendly
you on
game
that.
that gets in the way. FA
I'm
Cup
with
is
you
an
on that.
unbelievable trophy that we can proudly say we won 14 times. We can sit there and say we won 13 league titles, but that is not a friendly cup that just gets in the way. That is a huge competition.
In the end, for me, like and look, I mean, I don't want to bring this. I don't want to bring this up, and I said before, so I didn't want to bring it up unless I have to. For me, as a fan now, knowing what I know about myself in health is that I don't know how long I've got, how long I've got to see Arsenal every game. I don't know how many seasons I'm going to watch Arsenal. It could be 2 seasons, it could be 3, it could be 5, it could be 10, if I'm lucky. In the end, my actual health problems is going to get the better of me. Simple as that. And like, so if we have a chance to win the FA Cup or the Europa League, I want him to actually go for it, right?
Yeah.
If in the end he's decided to put all his eggs in the Europa League basket, knowing he feels probably safe with top 4, because I feel despite where we are in second place or at the top of the tree in a minute, I do feel Man City will end up pulling away. Even if we did get the investment in January, I think there'd be an outside chance if we had the investment, but I just think Man City will still pip us to it. But I think we should be able to give them a run for their money. And if we do get the investment, I want him to absolutely go for it for the Europa League. Do something that Wenger couldn't do, which is win the European title, which we haven't won a European title since 1994. So
That's a great thing, like the European thing. But what about this? Because someone said to me this the other day, like the Thursday and Sunday messes you up a little bit, like reaction because you haven't got that recovery time, like right. So say like if we go on, we keep winning and winning and winning. It looks like we are.
we've also been quite lucky
top
where the
four.
games are. To be fair, because we've been we've also been lucky in the group stages where the games are. One in Netherlands, one in Germany. We've been quite lucky. We're not travelling all the way to Uzbekistan or
it
something.
changes now. It changes now to knockout stages, and with that Thursday and Sunday in mind. If Arsenal were romping away with the second place and look like they're going to go in the Champions League, would you say, right, okay, like, well, let's go for the FA Cup instead of the Europa League, or is it more important the Europa League than the FA Cup?
I think the Europa League is more important for the fact that we've won 14 FA Cups and we ain't done much in Europe. So for me, I'd take the Europa League over the FA Cup. I love the FA Cup, as I've just mentioned. If I could only win one, I would take the Europa League this season because I think it will shut everyone up that Arsenal don't win in Europe. It gets you the Champions League football. You've got a trophy. And that, to me, is much better than coming second with nothing, in my opinion. I'd rather get the Europa League and say we're in the Champions
And
League,
plus,
which is what second,
he's
third, and
already
fourth gets you
proven.
anyway, and then you get your trophy in Europe.
So he's already proven as well. He's been able to win the FA Cup.
FA Cup.
He's already been able to prove that in his first 6 months of the job, right? So if he manages to prove something, that he managed to win something, that one of our greatest managers of our time, that pretty much brought us into the 21st century, you could say, with the Emirates Stadium, the training facilities, and everything that Wenger had done. You could also say is that, in a sense that, how do I put this? If he manages to win that, you've gone above something that even one of our greatest managers couldn't even do, right? Right, and for me, that puts you into your own little bracket, in a sense, and proves to a lot of people in the fan base, and I think that most of the fan base would still sit there and they'll go, "Wow, okay, right, fair play." I would sit there and go, "Fair play," right? It would shut a lot of people that still have doubts of him up. To be fair, I think over the FA Cup.
I think so. I think the Europa League is more important than the FA Cup for us this season. I love the FA Cup, and I've just mentioned why it's important to still take it seriously. But if you could only pick one, I would go Europa League. And I think, excuse me, like you say, Lee, if we come second, like sewn up, let's say, and it's only Man City or Arsenal that can win it, if Liverpool finished second and won nothing, and we come third right behind them and won the Europa League, who's had the better season? Probably us, because we're in the same position as them and we've won a trophy. So I'd take
You're
the
in the
Europa
same
League.
situation in the Champions League, so you
Both in the Champions League. You both lost the title. One of you's got a European trophy, the other ain't, and that's why I'd go with that as a good season, as a better season. And that's why I think with the Europa League, we have to win that competition this season. I think we're the best team in it. I think we're playing the best football at the moment out of the competition. People that are still in that competition, Manchester United and Barcelona were the two teams that everyone said, which one are we going to get out of them two? Well, they got each other. One of them's going out. So we have to win that competition this year for me. And I think when we look back at this season, we will say either, wow, Europa League, done it. Or we'll go, we fell short again in Europe. And that's what I don't want. And people will say, oh, they want to go in the Champions League next year. They can't even win the Europa. Can't even get the semi-final of Europa, whatever it'll be. We'll have all that again. So I want to win this competition big time this season, Lee.
Yeah, I'm with you on this. I'm just, the only thing that I'm worried about after watching Arsenal over the last month is that they've not really done themselves justice in this light. Like worried about after the games being a little bit tired, a little bit jaded. But to be fair, they sort of crushed my thoughts on that a little bit with the game against Nottingham Forest. I thought that was a key thing. They come back there and done the business.
That was a good response.
We'll have to wait and see on that, like, you know what I mean. So let's turn it around now. Come on, let's talk about England. Let's talk about Ben White. By the way, is my second favourite player now. But I thought he was sensational against Chelsea. I've got to ask this question: do you think he would have been in this squad if it weren't for the injury to Reece James, or do you think that his form got him in there?
I think he would have been in there even if Reece James was there, and I'll tell you why. Trent Alexander-Arnold wouldn't have gone. He'd have picked Ben White and Reece James. Yeah, I don't think he likes Trent. I don't think he does, and I think he's got in there because Reece James ain't there. For me, I'm glad he's in there, by the way, but I think defensively it looks a shambles. And I'll tell you what looks even more of a shambles: the first 11 he's going to pick, because you do know the back three against Iran is going to be Dyer, Maguire, and Stones, don't you? Get used to it. That is the back three. Because Kyle Walker is out until the late group stages. So we'll have Trippier and Shaw as wing backs, and the back three will be Dyer, Maguire, and Stones. So no wonder Iran are getting excited. I'll tell you that now, because they might get some goals.
And he actually said today, right? He actually said, who was it he said? Which is really harsh on who's the Southampton player? Prowse.
James Ward-Prowse.
James Ward-Prowse. He says to him, he ain't got into the team because he lacked form.
What's he been doing last?
But Maguire is in there.
Maguire's been on the bench.
And I
is he blind?
Say, like,
the guy's an absolute car crash.
What's that? Calvin Phillips, who I quite like, got nothing problems with Calvin Phillips, has played 46 minutes of football. And he turns around to somebody like him and says, "Oh, you're not going to the World Cup because you lack form." You know what I mean? Like, well,
What was funny though?
Southgate.
how can and he come
What
out
was
and
funny,
said that
right?
in the press conference.
Southgate, do you want some of these?
What was,
You might need
Yeah, I
some.
know. Yeah, he's an
What-
absolute
what
disgrace.
was,
bloke,
what was
really.
hilarious is the lad on my channel earlier, Wolves fan. He said, "I said, how you doing?" And his name's Dan as well. I'm good, Dan. He said, "They were disappointed." Gareth rang me earlier. He said, "I can't make the squad." Calvin Phillips has got in front of me. He's played one more game than me.
Yeah.
That's quality. I was like, that is class. But
You know what I
honestly,
mean?
mate, it's mad. I understand he's saying that Calvin Phillips is the only other defensive midfielder I've got. Jordan Henderson's kind of there, and he don't really do that job. I get what he means, but
I don't know.
you've got to pick three right backs, and you've left Ivan Toney at home. That's mad for me. How you can leave Ivan Toney at home when you've got three right backs there? One of them ain't going to be fit to the last group stage.
He's picked also
Mad.
Jordan Henderson. What's Jordan Henderson done? Like,
Yeah, he's been terrible.
He's been awful. Have you seen Liverpool? He's been awful.
And he can't last games. So you've got like him and Phillips.
So he's going to be sitting on the bench. And when
But he
Phillips
can come
gets
on
into
for
the
the last
first
10
game.
minutes. That's what he's probably looking at.
But if Phillips gets into the first game, that's it. We're screwed. We're going to have to play for Henderson then.
It's been terrible in parts.
He said when he became manager, right, he's picking players based on form.
Yeah.
Right? Why isn't Tony in this squad? Right?
I don't get that.
Why isn't Connor Cody in the squad? He's been doing more than
he's in it.
he's in the
Connor
squad.
Cody is.
Sorry, that's
Tamori,
it.
you mean?
But
Tamori.
Tamori.
Yeah,
for example.
that's
be in
another
there.
one. Tomorrow's been doing really well.
Mark,
Why is
Abrams
Maguire
hasn't.
getting in there when he's been sitting on the bench? Why is it that like for example, I bet you Pickford gets picked as number one. No, I'm sorry.
will.
It's either Nick Pope or Ramsdale as number one. Pickford should be number three
I think Pickford's
for me.
done okay. I think he's been pretty good for Everton. And
I
get somewhere along the line. You're England. If you've been doing well for England, you have to say. So I get it to a certain degree, but you're Maddison definitely deserves it. I'm glad that he's got in it. But there's players in there.
I was worried about that one. I thought you weren't going to pick him. I really didn't.
I'm also
think Maddison was
worried about
go.
Jude Bellingham. What do you think about Jude Bellingham? Because he's very young to go to.
Well, he's going to have to rely on him. He's going to have to rely on him. But him and Rice will be the two midfield players. So
he had him for the Euros and then he used him.
Yeah, he'll be the main man for him this season.
Yeah, I like Bellingham. I think I don't mind some of the players he's picked are fine, but ones that are a bit strange are at the back for me.
Make a suggestion.
So you reckon it's going to be Stones, Dyer, and Maguire?
Stones, Dyer, and Maguire are the back three, and then Trippier and Shaw either side. He won't play Ben White. No chance.
Stones could be so dire
just
with
about
Maguire.
picked him.
Yeah,
It'll be if everyone's fit, by the way, it'll be Walker, Maguire, and Stones. Now Walker's not there, it'll be Dyer.
Boys, trust me, it will be Stones will be so dire with Maguire.
Honestly, they are the back three. I'll tell you that now. They are the back three.
Iran's must be like that.
That you know, I mean, listen, I don't think Dyer's form has been that impressive to get him back into the squad. But there you go. That's
what do you expect? It's Spurs anyway.
Yeah,
Spurs.
But he's a little bit harsh on a couple of them there. Tammy Abrams, I feel a little bit sorry for. I also got to say this: when he turns around and says, "I'm taking Walker injured and all that," like Calvin Lewin, who's injured, didn't take him. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. Bizarre. But
no,
anyway, Ben White's in it. Saka's in it. Ramsdale's in it. So
that's the main thing. And I don't think Saka will start, by the way. I still think he'll play Foden and Sterling either side of Kane. But there we go. We'll see
if we end up with another penalty shootout, he'd better not pick him as a frigging penalty shootout.
Mind you, how poor Sterling been? He was. I've got to say,
terrible,
he was
the worst player at Chelsea at the weekend.
Oh my God.
He looked so bad, didn't he?
Oh my
and listen,
God.
I don't mind Sterling. I've given him a hard time in the past.
For me, it's either he was either that bad or we were just that good. Because I'm sorry,
I think we was that good, but he hasn't played well for Chelsea since he's been there. I've not seen him have a good game.
No. No, I'm with you.
Mm.
I missed the super chat. Sorry, Chaitanya, my bad about the Arsenal. He said we should have taken it more seriously. Arteta put the right team out to give our B team a chance to prove themselves, and they let
Absolutely.
him down. On
Yeah,
to Wolves.
yeah,
Good point.
On to Wolves, Lee.
yep.
Um, back to the A team, should I say, not the B team. Back to Arsenal's first team. Exactly, the A team. I feel personally, Lee, like this one is going to be okay. I think we're going to be okay. Wolves are struggling. They don't score goals. They do concede goals, and I know they won against Leeds last night. But I don't look at them at the moment and feel like they're going to come at us with any form of, oh wow, this could be, they're going to score goals against us. Blah blah blah. I know we shouldn't go into that attitude. It's going to be easy, and I certainly don't think it will be because they're going to make it hard for us. And I don't think it's going to be a very high scoring game. But I have
They're bringing
quietly
the manager
confident after the
after the World Cup,
Chelsea.
aren't they?
They've got
Sorry.
Lopetegui in now, so he's
Oh,
now
they've
in.
got him now.
So they've
Okay.
got him. But yeah, I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be 3 points to the Arsenal league. How do you see this one going?
Yeah, I don't think their manager starts until after this game, does he? I'm not sure, like, you know what
I
I mean?
don't know.
So,
Yeah,
I don't
that's
know.
what
I know they've
I
got him
heard. He
in, but
starts after the
yeah,
World Cup, I believe.
after the World Cup,
maybe
I
you're
heard
right.
that as
Maybe
well,
you're
like,
right.
They signed
so
him,
I
but
don't
he's
think
going
that
to
should
bring
affect
him.
us whether he's in charge or
No.
not. Really, like, you know what I mean?
No.
Wolves have got 10 points so far this season, and I'm sorry that if you can't go to Wolves and get the 3 points, you're not going to win the league. You're not going to challenge for the league.
Mm.
So it's important that we go there, get the job done. We had a fantastic performance. Listen, if we play like we did against Chelsea, then we'll be home and dry.
It's
But even
just
against Chelsea, the one thing against Chelsea that I will say, we missed chances in that game again. We missed chances again on Sunday. We've
there's
got to
actually a
take
couple
our
of points I
chances.
want
We've
to
got to
say
be
about that
ruthless.
one because first of all, I do feel that if we the way Arsenal been going into games, right, and I saw this from pretty much early on in the season, right, that mentality, especially when, say the Fulham game, for example, we went 1-0 down. If that was last season, we would either lost the game or drawn the game. We wouldn't have won it. And so um, I think there's been a mentality in the team that they took what happened last season of being pipped by Spurs, for example, to full spot as such an insult to them directly that Arteta used it to fuel as mentality for this season because now they just don't want to give in to any sort of game, which is why you've seen rapid responses when we've made mistakes. Second of all, is that when it comes to the Wolves game, if Arteta and Arsenal just go in with the same attitude and mentality that they've been going in for every game, not taking it for granted and making the most of the opportunities when they come, then I don't see how we shouldn't get 3 points. But again, there's be loads of different factors other than that. I think Southampton, as much as the ref was awful, and things going against us in that game, we weren't really our usual selves in that game. We were quite poor in that game anyway. So, but yeah. But the other thing for me is that you mentioned about because the chances and Jesus, for example, when we signed him, I was like, that's a very good signing. I'm not disappointed with it at all. Right mentality, winning mentality. Can't have got it straight from Man City. Same with Zinchenko. The only problem I had is that if you looked at stats wise, he's only gone over 20 goals a season twice in his career. Now we used to have a go at Giroud for not doing the same thing. So, and that's why he was left. He left the club. For me, I would be like, for me, what I'm seeing now is yes, he's had that period where he's got 5 or 6 goals, but now the goals are starting to dry up a little bit. So for me, what I love to see is that he's still creating chances and still trying to get on the end of them and trying to take chances. He's not losing confidence in trying to score them, but it's just not going in a minute. So for me, as much as he's also doing well off the ball with how we be able to create chances and his movement off the ball, which is so much different compared to Ngatia, for me, he will need to start picking up some goals at some point.
Yeah, well, listen, I think with Eddie coming in the
And
other
sorry that
night,
took
I
so
don't want.
long.
No, that's calm. I think with Eddie coming in and scoring the other night, obviously he's going to be looking at Arteta and saying, "Look, I'm scoring goals." But I think the drop off at the moment when we're using our substitutes is too much. I see Lokonga last night again. I don't know what your thoughts were, Lee, but like I thought Lokonga was typical Lokonga. I don't think he's ready, man. I don't think he's ready.
He needs a loan
Vieira,
spell for
I
me.
like some of it. Yeah, potentially. I think Vieira is very lightweight, very, very lightweight.
I,
Nice touches on the ball, but very lightweight. I think up
I
top we're struggling across the front three. 1 second, Stephen. And I think
yes, yeah.
personally, when you look at the midfield, now we've got El Neni back. I think that is potentially a bonus because I think he is better than Lokonga. So there is some problems with our strength in depth. And I'll come to you, judges, because I feel like personally, against Wolves, we shouldn't be going there and struggling. But I do sometimes worry that if things can't quite go in the way we want them to be, like Southampton or even Leeds, where we needed another goal, Chelsea, we needed another goal. I don't really think we've got anyone on that bench at the moment that I go, right, we need a goal. Who are we going to bring on? And I look and I think, I don't fancy Eddie. I don't fancy Vieira.
Yeah.
Marquinhos, bit static for my liking. Where are we going with that? Do you know what I mean? And that's my problem at the moment.
Well, I think we've got Nelson. I think he's looked pretty good when he's come on the last or been about. Listen, Eddie scored yesterday. I know, like it was one of those games that didn't go well. His great goal, by the way, took his chance. So, you know, I think for me this game now, Jesus has got to start getting a couple of goals. He can't carry on not scoring. But he's playing well. You know,
Yeah.
I've got to say that. I thought he was brilliant against Chelsea. He caused them all sorts of problems, you know. So you just got to hope that he just starts scoring a few goals. I think that we'll have too much for Wolves. But, you know, you look at it and you just got to say to yourself that, you know, if they don't, then you know it's down to the recruitment or whatever. When you look at it, for me, we've been playing well. Like we was ruthless against Nottingham Forest. Why was we ruthless? Because they're not very good. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, it's a little bit different away from home. But I do expect Arsenal to go there and win comfortably. Listen, it was a fantastic performance against Chelsea. It had everything that you wanted it to be. Totally dominated that game from start to finish. Now, if that was a Wolverhampton Wanderers sort of thing, you take those chances and get 2 or 3. I think that they will. I think the other thing you've got to look at, Dan, and I think the reason we've been successful away from home at this moment in time is defensively, we've got monsters back there now.
Oh,
Yeah, man.
Gabriel, Saliba, Ben White, Zinchenko, and when Zinchenko went off, on come Tierney and done a very, very good job, you know. So they've got proper defenders in there at the moment. Like, and even when you think about it, then like Ramsdale gone to Stamford Bridge and didn't have a real save to make. You know what I mean? When
Nah.
have you ever said that? So that's the sort of
he saved his time reading the newspaper.
If we put in defensive performances, we'll be all right. Like, you know, we'll get 1 or 2 chances. That's how I look at it.
I think for me that you mentioned our defence, and you're absolutely right. Our defence has been absolutely monsters, and that's that just one addition. Like Saliba has given that back line so much more confidence because it's almost as much as we are now solid at the back with Saliba, right? He's given Ben White the confidence to first master his position as a right back and then also start to come forward. You start seeing games now, Ben White, whereas usually he'd been sitting back. He's now going forward and overlapping and trying to help out Saka on the right hand side, same as Tierney or Zinchenko would down the left hand side for Martinelli. So that's also a benefit. The one thing with Gabriel recently has picked up his performances again. But there was a period of games where he kept making silly errors, and I don't know how you see that, because for me, like it does worry me with Gabriel that he does make some very silly mistakes. I mean, even I don't think it was the Chelsea game. It was the Nottingham Forest game, for example. I think we were 1-0 up or something, and he turned and looked at the striker and passed it to him. So
Yeah.
it is a worry for me still.
Yeah, he's
As
got a
much as
mistake in him. That's for
yeah,
sure. He's got a mistake in him.
Well, Man
I
United
do like a
4-2 up
lot.
now.
Man United 4-2 up. Oh,
4-2,
blimey.
yeah.
Oh dear.
saying they couldn't do that
2-1 down, weren't they?
last weekend.
But there we go. To wrap this up, boys, I want to get a score prediction from you all against Wolves Arsenal. So I've said that we'll win 2-0. I've stuck by that. I think Arsenal win 2-0 against Wolves. Stephen, what do you reckon?
I'm gonna go for 2-1 Arsenal.
2-1 Arsenal. Judges, what do you reckon, mate?
3-0. I'm going for.
Love it, mate.
Yeah.
Optimistic.
I
Optimistic.
am. I just think that we'll have too much for them, like, you know what I mean? Like, and that's what a proper team does, by the way. I think Leicester went there and won 4-0. You know what I mean? So,
Do you know what I
Wow,
think
yeah.
has been good as? Do you know what I think has been good as well is that this, despite some of the wins maybe being as well as not as well as we've had, most of our wins have been very convincing, like Brentford, Bournemouth, Nottingham Forest, all of them. Like not all of them, and like some of them were like Leeds United, where we needed VAR to help us out in games. Those games we weren't playing well in. Even the PSV game where we won 1-0, we weren't playing well in that game. But they grind the wind out, and great as I'm not saying we're gonna win the league, just by the way, but great teams or championship winning teams
grind out
have
results.
always grind out results when they're playing poorly, right? Especially like when it was back in Henri days, when it was um uh back in like Ian Wright's time. He, even when we won 1-0 against Parma in our last European trophy, to talk about Europe. So yeah, sometimes we've not played well and we've still managed to win the game.
Good point.
Before saying anything though, I know some friends are in the chat, and big up to everyone that is in the chat. I've got a shout out to a dear friend who Miss Melina, who's not well at the minute. She's very, very not well at the minute with pneumonia. She's not well in hospital at the minute. So I want to
Well,
send.
she's only was she back home in Canada now, is she? Or
Yeah, she
or
came. She came. I've met her in London on the 28th. She went back. She went back home. And caught like a cold or something off the plane, and it's come down as pneumonia, and she has been rushed into hospital.
We love Melina. We'll have to
So,
message her and
yeah,
make sure she's all right. So I didn't realise that.
yeah. So she I think it's been a bit scary, but she's a fighter, and she'll be
oh well,
I hope
bloody hell!
she'll be
Wish her the
out
well.
soon.
Wish her really well.
Yeah,
Like,
we
you know
wish
what I
her
mean?
Yeah,
well,
So,
man.
she's a
absolutely.
lovely girl. And also, Stephen, wishing you well as well, mate. You know what I mean? Before, as we're going to wrap up now, like, you know, I know with your illness and all that, like, you know, so thoughts and prayers of you as well. You keep battling on, mate. And
No, it's like I said, is that I've said to the doctors, as much as my they've said my health is gonna limit how long I've got left. I've always said that my purpose at the moment is trying to raise as awareness and money as
yeah,
possible for the
we'll fire it
this
up.
charity via this channel. So if we do, we can just like make sure other kids don't end up having this going through the same pain that I did or having the same outcome as me. So so and I'll keep doing that until I'm not physically able to, and then after that it'd be like
Stephen, how can people support that, mate? Just so we know.
Well, S Feetly TV is my YouTube channel. So we do Arsenal content, obviously. We also do Premier League content as well. So anyone who has, or any football fan who has an opinion will get their chance to come on and have their say. And as much as everything's probably feeling a bit down, what I've said to everyone is just if you all come, we have a laugh, we have a joke, we have a banter, and act like there's nothing, just everything's not going as normal, and that's what I want to make sure. So with every stream we do, we raise money for Children's Liver Disease Foundation. You can do that by becoming a member, just like with this channel. You can send a donation via super chat, or you can send it directly to the charity via our Just Giving page link, which is in every video description. You will find the Just Giving page link down below in the description. So so make sure you go and subscribe. So
Listen,
as
guys,
well as
you've
you
heard
guys
it
subscribe
here.
here.
Make sure you go over to Stephen's channel, support what he's doing, and make sure you can give anything.
I'll send you the link for it as well.
Yeah, we'll put
Brilliant.
that in there.
We'll whack it in
We'll
the
get Dave to
description
put
of
that
ours as well.
in the stuff and all that. Like, and you keep fighting, mate. And like this is what the Arsenal community does, and it brings everybody together. And
100.
We're proud of what you're doing, mate.
No, you keep going, Stephen, and big up yourself, man. And thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for coming on.
Put on you.
Appreciate it. Nice one. Lee, always a pleasure, mate. Hopefully we get the 3 points at the weekend. We can come back on and celebrate it on the Sunday. But we will see you next time, people. Make sure you smash a like and subscribe. Do the same thing over on Stephen's channel. And if you're feeling kind, then come and help me get towards the race to 7K on Football's 12th Man podcast. And I've got content going on there as well. Thanks a lot, guys. We'll see you next time. Up the Arsenal. Take care.
Have a good weekend, guys.
Come on, you gunners.